does Pride Month mean to you, and is there anything that you do special during the month of June?
Pride Month for me is the busiest time of year. It's June, it's the start of summer, it's the start of just everything gets brighter. You know, that mosaic of our community really comes out, and I think Pride Month for me means pride in our community, pride in our accomplishments that we've made as a community, and pride in ourselves.
Can you speak to the inequities the LGBTQ plus community faces, specifically in Lancaster?
So I see inequalities in the LGBTQ plus community every day. Personally, something that I had happen to me years ago was I was involved in a relationship with someone and I had our picture on my desk. And I was told in a nice way that, you know, clutter on the desk isn't something that we want here. I really felt that it was said to me because that particular picture was of two people that they didn't feel, you know, should be together, be displayed in the place of business. And that really always stuck with me. It's been hard because I always feel like I can't move into an office when I get a job because if I bring in things that have meaning to me, it might not be seen that way for someone else.
How long have you been in Lancaster?
I lived in Lancaster my entire life. I am 36, going on 37, and I've lived most of my life in Lidditz, but I did transition to a city resident about 5 years ago.
Okay, and since, you know, moving to the city, have you seen any differences between living outside of the city and in the city when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community?
When I moved to the city, the LGBTQ plus community was more well received, I would say, than where I previously lived. I was in a smaller town. So coming to the city where there's a coffee shop on every corner, there's art projects going on all the time, it really just helps me understand that I'm better suited the way that I live for a larger city. There's more resources, there's more available. I think it's important for people to know that just because you may live in a small town now doesn't mean that you're hopeless, or if you're having feelings that, you know, you're not accepted. Those did dissipate for me, even at a later age. I feel like I went through phases in my 20s, you know, some of the shame that was there around identifying as gay, you know, that started to lift. And in my 30s now, I try to live my life as authentically as possible and just be a good human.
If you feel comfortable, can you talk about your coming out story?
Absolutely. I came out at a young age. I was 13, so it was very challenging for me, not being 18, obviously, being an adult, to kind of combat what was happening. My parents initially were not accepting of who I was, and we did seek some therapy options for me, some church-based therapy options as well. And over time, they obviously, and I kind of came to realize too, like this isn't going to work. So that was challenging because I felt like something was wrong with me. And then turning 18, turning 21, you know, two big milestones in my life, I did find that support system through friends and through my community that, you know, were either allies or did identify a certain way. And it was just so relieving to me because I felt very stuck in my teens. High school was a tough place for me. You know, being gay in high school is not something that back then was widely accepted. So now I just feel like there's so much that is out there for kids, for young adults, for adults, resource-wise, that you can connect now electronically or in person with all the things that you need to just navigate through that process, and helping our parents and our families navigate through that process as well.
What message would you have for the younger LGBTQ plus generation as someone who grew up, you know, in this area?
When I was young, I had a feeling, I would say by age 5, that I was a little bit different. I wasn't sure what it meant or whatnot. And then in my teen years is when I truly started figuring things out. Obviously, in your teen years, you're going through all kinds of emotions and you're going through your puberty, and like, it's crazy. You have all this kind of brewing around and you want to just make the right decisions and do what's right for you, but also like make your family proud. And I think that was super important to me. And I try to live my life as authentically as possible and just be a decent human that gives back to their community. I think that helped my family get over anything that they may have thought about me being gay, because they realize that I do so much to give back. And that part of me is just a small part of me. Some will describe me as dramatic, so I do fit that part of the mold. But you know, I do love just giving myself fully and authentically back to my community. I don't I do have a voice I do for meetings sometimes. It's a little bit deeper, but it's just to get people's attention, because I could go on and on, as you probably could guess. So my advice for someone who is kind of going through that decision in their life of who they love, seek resources. Definitely find someone who you trust to talk about it with, whether that be an ally or somebody who also identifies, as gay. I would just say don't give up. That's my big recommendation for everyone, to just keep your head up high. There's no need to be ashamed of who you are. You're just in a situation or a place right now that's not as accepting as you will find later in life, and it does get better.
What do you hope Pride Month and National Coming Out Day will do for future generations?
My hope is that those two events, Pride Month being a whole month and National Coming Out Day just being one day, will really be a chance for people to essentially come out and be authentically themselves. Most of us have been hiding for years because we have such shame around the decision, some of us. I did. I was brought up in a religious background, so of course I had that to contend with, and it really just, that month and that day are really just an opportunity for people to own up to how they're feeling and to tell their support system, just, this is what's going on in my life, and this is important to me, and I just want to be happy. And as long as you're telling people that you can know and trust, that receive that information well, your coming out story will be one of the good ones.
Do you think the implementation of those days and that recognition in Lancaster has changed since you've been a kid till now?
I feel that Pride Month and National Coming Out Day have specifically changed in Lancaster from when I was a kid to where I am now, only because of the progression of this area and our city especially. I mean, I remember as a kid coming to the city and there was a few things to do, but there wasn't as much as there is to do now. There weren't as many nonprofits as engaging as they are now, local businesses, local restaurants. It is such a fun experience for me to bring an out-of-towner to come see Lancaster and all it's changed and all it's become. Our art scene's improved. The LGBTQ plus coalition now exists in the Loop. There's just so many resources now that I can't imagine being in a situation where you don't have someone to lean on or somewhere to go. Those places do exist. It's just connecting with them and finding them.
Absolutely. And can you talk a little bit about how people can find them and can connect?
So if you do need resources or you do need someone to talk to, a club to join, camaraderie with people in our community and getting to know each other, because we all have different backgrounds, we all have different cultures, we all have different beliefs. The LGBTQ plus coalition and all they do for Lancaster is a great place to start. They do have weekly clubs that meet, they do have counselors, they do have events. You can find out more about them on lgbtlancaster.org, and they'll be able to reach out to you and connect.
So we've come a long way as a society, but we still have a long way to go. What do you think needs to happen for our country to, progress to a place that we need to be, that is no longer coming out, it's just being yourself?
I think humanity has a lot of work to do. I feel like we as humans need to be good people. We need to make decisions that aren't just about ourselves, but about us as a whole. And I look around the room now and see more representation, more diversity, and I feel like that is going to move us in a better direction come the future. There are some that may not agree with me on that, and that is perfectly fine because we live in a country where we can all have different beliefs, still live together, still get along with each other, and I think that's what makes America the best place in the world to live.
If you could change one thing, one policy, one law about something in our country that affects you personally, what would that be?
The one law that I would change if I was so able to do so would just be equal rights for everyone. You're a person, and these are the rights that you have. Everybody gets the same rights. There's no gray area. It's black and it's white, and it's extended to everyone that's a U.S. citizen. I think that would be amazing if we could get past everything that's happening and just move to that system where we all feel appreciated, we all feel valued.